Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this special meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. It's June 9th, 2026 at 9:02 a.m. This is a reminder to please turn off or silence your cell phones. We will start with a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we approve the agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Seconded?
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Community information items, I have none this morning. Elsa, would you like to go next?
I have none.
Okay.
Great, because I have a bunch.
Okay.
Okay, so I would like to acknowledge the improvements in the working relationship and collaboration and partnership between Lake County and the city of Leadville. We've come a long way there. A little bit of that was on display last night at the planning and zoning, going through our joint one community project. Why am I forgetting the three letters for it right now? The OCP, the joint plan for the county and the city. It's saved to the taxpayers a lot of money for us to take this approach, and working with that group has been pretty good. But what I'm getting to here is that part of all the leadership on both sides of the street here has been integral in those improved relationships. And on that note, I want to acknowledge Lori Simonson for her time with the city and her working with us. It was really great working with her, and I wish her the best since she has resigned from her position to pursue greener pastures. And it was great having a good working relationship with the city on a multitude of projects. And I would like to welcome Police Chief Dan Trelka as the interim city manager, and just express that we're looking forward to continued working relationships and getting things done with those guys too. So shout out to Lori, thanks for your service to the community, you'll be missed. The other community information item I wanted to touch on was to provide some clarification regarding recent community discussions and questions about Harrison Field. The park remains open to the public, and members of the public may continue to use the field at their own discretion and risk. Due to the limited maintenance capacity and deferred maintenance at the park, the all county sponsored recreation activities were what was discontinued at Harrison Field. It's not closed down, it's not being sold to developers. There are no current plans at this time to do anything with Harrison Field. As part of an ongoing asset management effort, Lake County is in the early stages of conducting a comprehensive review of all of our county-owned facilities and infrastructure, including parks and recreational facilities, roads, buildings, and other public assets. This process will help identify the maintenance needs and estimate future costs and support informed decisions regarding long-term investments in county facilities. We do appreciate the community's interest in Harrison Field and encourage anyone with questions or concerns to attend a public meeting or contact county staff directly for the most up-to-date information. Please don't get your facts off Facebook. It causes issues. All right, I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. This is a reminder that all regular meetings and work sessions are recorded and available on the Lake County Government YouTube channel. They are transcribed and indexed as well. The recordings can be watched at a time that's best for you. Subscribe and stay informed on county decisions. We'll now move into the public comment portion of this meeting. Public comment is available for residents wishing to speak on an agenda item or another issue not on the agenda. To make a public comment, residents may request to speak by raising your hand in person, using the raise hand feature in Zoom, or sending a message in chat. Anybody in the room like to make a comment this morning? Please just state your name for the record.
Sure, Sarah Mudge. I like to comment on the, I'm sorry, I don't understand what part of the process you're in on the Reg 43 adoption and the new state regs revisions, but in reviewing some of the revised documents provided to you all, it seems that there still might be some problems, at least from what I understood at the time of talking to the state, with referring in the document to variances. As well, it looks like your Appendix A, which is kind of what I'm calling like a cover sheet, or it's a crosswalk that the state has asked for from counties, checks off prohibiting new vault toilets and new privy toilets. So that seems confusing to me, given all the conversations that I've had with you all regarding legislation, as well as or your desire to change your code.
Can you specifically say which section, Sarah?
I don't know if the appendix is attached to that new draft, but it should be Appendix A.
Mm-hmm.
And then the section is really Section 1, that pulled a lot of the language, and these are things we talked about in our variance hearing. It pulls a lot of the language for the variance process that is offered by the state, and I could be wrong, but as far as was communicated to me from the state, is not necessarily the strict process you almost follow if you are allowing and creating some other processes and regulations locally. So it's my opinion that some of that language in there is still pulled kind of out of context of what it seems like the BOCC has been discussing and might cause you problems.
I read that and felt like I read it over and over and over again, and we'll talk about it in part 2, but I did not see a problem where we couldn't actually approve the vault toilet. So just to whack. That was my reading, but we can talk about it also when we get there. 1.2 section 3, I think is what.
I think our intention is to allow them, so if that needs to be corrected, we'll certainly correct it, and that was the direction that was the meeting last night, I think, was headed in, so.
Yeah, that was one of the bullet points, was to make it
Yeah.
easier or allowable, whereas previously, but if we've got language in there that's contradictory, we definitely wanna flag that and take a closer look at that.
And I think, I don't know if we wanna talk about this right now, cause it is one of your agenda items, but Torsten and I can address this issue when you'd like.
Yeah, do we wanna go into further depth during the agenda item on that?
Let's do it. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room have public comment? Anybody online or in the chat? Seeing none, we'll move on. To item number 1, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-21, a resolution adopting the Excel Energy Service Facility Development Agreement. This will be led by Melissa Kendrick, our Community Planning Development Deputy Director. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is kind of a companion to the development agreement that you heard and approved a few weeks ago. And in that development agreement, that it requires this resolution, and it wasn't with it that day. So this is a bit of a housekeeping matter. The development agreement is part of the implementation of the Excel Service Center. It's actually under construction right now. So, all of these pieces fit together. We have one more piece that you will see coming up. But again, this is companion to the development agreement. So I can explain that further, or Matt can if you have questions.
I have none.
Do I?
I have none.
I will move to adopt resolution 2026-21, a resolution adopting the Excel Energy Service Facilities Development Agreement.
I will second that.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Melissa. Item number 2 on our agenda is discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-22. A resolution adopting the revised 2026 Lake County on-site wastewater treatment system, referred to as the OWTS regulations. This is led by Melissa Kendrick, probably, since Ann's not here.
Yes,
Okay.
and Torsten.
And
So I'm gonna
Torsten,
let Torsten
yeah.
take the lead.
Okay, thank you,
if don't
Torsten.
Yeah, so I believe it was back in April 19th, we had the open discussion about approving these regulations already. And in that, I kind of explained that in this process, we're really trying to get ourselves compliant with the updated state regulations. We have until June 15th to have these approved and effective. It also was discussed that in our moratorium, we're going to look further into alternative sanitation methods such as vault privies, vault holding toilets, composting, incinerating toilets. We just want to take a little bit more time to understand how to oversee those and how different counties have been regulating those. So that's kind of why it's not been addressed in this adoption, because we really just want to be compliant with the state on time here. And we've had the public discussion during that April 19th hearing. That was brought up a little bit, I believe, during that time. That's kind of where I explained a little bit more the moratorium work that we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Really, we're looking just for approval of the resolution that we voted on during the April 19th hearing. I'm here for any other questions. I'm absolutely able to answer anything, but we're kind of to the voting part here.
Thank you.
In section 1.3A2, we reference appendix A at the end of it. And where's appendix A?
It's in the packet.
It wasn't attached to.
It's not attached to the exhibit A.
Torsten, I have a question.
Mhm.
In section 1.2.3, which I think is what Sarah brought up,
Mhm.
we can have vault toilets based on, still with variances.
Mhm.
My question is, I think we kind of got into it a little earlier, but there's the limited use occupancy that I had a question about. When there is a structure or dwelling on less than a full-time year-round basis, i.e. no more than 90 consecutive days or total occupancy of 180 days per year.
Mhm.
Is that something we can be more? That to me would be in conflict with the proposed uses we talked about last night, where somebody could have multi-season facilities with the use of a vault toilet in, say, like a primitive campground, right? So is this something that we could change to change the occupancy, or is this one of those things that the state, we can only be more restrictive than the state?
So the limited use occupancy more so aligns with our land use code, I believe.
Okay,
That's pretty specifically for backcountry structures, which we've had a lot of interest in recently. We've had a couple of variances over the last year. Backcountry structures with the land use code are limited to that occupancy, so that we're kind of just aligning ourselves with that.
okay, so it's only situations that fall under the limited use occupancy.
Hmm.
And for Lake County, that is only backcountry that would fall under that.
Yeah, there's still other variances we can allow,
Okay.
vault store, the Alpha campground, but that's that specific language was for protecting the backcountry's limited use.
Okay, cool. Great, makes a lot of sense, thank you.
Yeah, so I hope it's clear, we're sort of doing this in two steps, which seems a little cumbersome at the moment. But again, compliance with the state is really important, and a lot of those changes are really very minor. This other issue related to allowing vault privies, particularly commercial, not residential, but commercial, is something we deliberated last night, and we will work our way through that process and then amend the code, as you decide you want to amend it.
The land use code.
The land use code.
Okay.
Yeah, which will include the OWTS regulations, yeah. Yeah, so I think we're getting there, it's just a two-step process.
Right.
So,
Yeah, great, okay.
Right now, we're on a deadline.
we're gonna hit the deadline.
Alright. Assuming this all goes well here.
And then my other question, I didn't write down the section well enough. Section B. When it comes to site evaluations. I wrote down 43.5. It's about site and soil evaluations, and we kind of talked about it last night, just when it comes to cost burden. Like how expensive is it, these site and soil evaluations for people to get done? Just a curiosity.
That I wouldn't know off the top of my head, that is done by an engineering firm, usually soils engineers will come in and they'll basically dig a hole in the ground to understand the layers of the soil we have. That's so that they can get engineering designs, they can properly know the long-term acceptance rate of the soil for a soil treatment area. That's standard with the state. All designs need to have soil profile holes, they need to know what's going on, and know the long-term acceptance rate. If I were to give it a guess, I would probably say around $5,000 just for the soil evaluation in prior to getting the engineer designs.
Good, thank you.
It's between 2,500 on the low end and 10,000 on the high end, so depending on who you hire. But it can be done as little as $2,500. Yeah, for a super rubber stamp. A little more complicated. There's some more, you can get a more layered, nuanced plan for 10,000. So,
Thanks, man.
yeah.
Cool, I have no other questions about the whole thing.
So, okay, I've flipped through all 15 pages of the regulation. What page is Appendix A on?
It's in the packet, it's not in the document. It's in the packet and it's called,
It's the exhibit A, I think.
yeah,
Exhibit A is at the top of the
it's called Lake County OWTS Regulations,
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A.
Is Exhibit A Appendix A?
Yeah, I think it was
How,
just named.
why is it called two different things? That's what threw me for a loop on this. I've been hunting for Appendix A for a couple days. And I'm like, where is Appendix A? Cause that's where we deviate from the state regulations where we have opted to be more stringent on certain aspects. I just wanna make sure after some things were pointed out about, do we have contradictory language about the vault toilets that will make it, like, what our goal is to make it easier for vault toilets to happen. But it's been brought up to us that there might be some conflicting language and I'm trying to find it and I'm at a loss. So if anyone sees a section or a line in there that is going against the goals that we're trying to accomplish here, I'm not seeing it. So I have read through all this and I didn't see anything that said, for the variance is.
So the intent of this iteration of the regulations are to become compliant with the state requirements. So the moratorium is informing a future potential modification to the regulations, like what we talked about last night.
Right.
So we'll directly talk about that, but I don't feel there's anything in there that would preclude a potential edit to these to allow an OWTS to be a BOLT to be a conforming system for certain uses in the future. But this is to meet the state requirements, and then moving forward, we are considering another amendment to the regs for what we've been talking about in that. And Torsten, go ahead.
Yeah, just for your question two, page 2 of the appendix, line or section 2 is where we are prohibiting installation of new vault privies. And that's just referencing section 1.2B3.
The one we just talked about.
Yeah, so that's just our decisions in the appendix there. Those aren't any differing language in there. It's just the decisions that we've been allowed by the state.
Okay. Got
We
it.
can amend that in the land use code.
It's not, the land use code will, the regulations will inform the land use code. So part of the land use code, potential amendments coming out of the moratorium will make sure that the OWTS regulations align with that.
Did you wanna say something, Sarah?
I was just curious why you would check not allowed if you are allowing it.
What's that?
I said I was curious why you would check not allowed, which is different from the 2018 document submitted to the state, if you are allowing these and would go through variance processes or local processes to allow them.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why is it a default not allowed, but through variance you can? How do we explain that in the table?
I would defer to Torsten on that particular item, but what the intention coming up is that they are still allowed by variance for this period of time up until we finish the moratorium. So they are still allowed by variance, it's just that there is the variance process that's required.
I do see what Sarah is speaking about here. In the previous iteration, last amended in 2024, it says vault privies new allowed with a variance instead of just prohibited. But with speaking to the state, the way I have it in the new regulations, referring to section 1.2B3 kind of says the same thing. They are prohibited with a variance, or allowed with a variance.
But allowed by variance.
Well, it's not clear in the table. And the table's meant to be usable, right? So that people can look at it and be like, oh, is this allowed, is this not allowed? So maybe Sarah's point going back to that,
Absolutely. we
making
can
that more
do
clear.
Absolutely.
We can edit that without getting in trouble with the state.
We will send a final revision to the state for their final review, so.
We just have to get that into them prior to the 15th.
Okay.
So, yes, absolutely, and it'll be consistent with what it was last time, so to be completely transparent and make sure that it's consistent, we can do that.
Good catch, Sarah.
Does that address your issue, Sarah, or would you like to?
I suppose so. I think that that's a better overall, way to communicate what the intentions are. And if what I'm understanding correctly is that this whole document might be revised again once you go through the moratorium, I assume that maybe some of those citings of the local regs would also be changed to look at new drafted regulations and processes, because the language that remains in there and is cited in that appendix is the very language that was pointed to through our experience of our variance, is to not allow that. So that language remains in your document, and I just think that that's problematic.
Yeah.
I would totally agree that that is the case, that this iteration doesn't change, that there is a variance process required. And so, but as I think that we were talking about when we had the public hearing on the regulations, this was to become compliant with the state requirements, and that the moratorium would inform those future revisions.
So yes, you're correct. We will be coming back to this.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, agenda item number 2, discussion, I would move to approve resolution 2026-22, a resolution adopting the revised Lake County on-site wastewater treatment system regulations.
Seconded.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on, thank you all for that. Number 3, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-23. A resolution to rescind the stage 1 fire restrictions established under resolution 2026-19 in the unincorporated areas of Lake County. This will be led by Candace Bryans, our county manager.
So, right as we are moving out of stage 1 fire restrictions, and thank you Heath for joining, I'm gonna let him jump in here too. We're actually back in them.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So, but we did still want to have a conversation with you all
Yes.
about the fire restrictions. And so I spoke with Heath yesterday and asked if, he would jump on since he's really a little more involved with determining, alongside you guys what restrictions we're in.
Mhm.
Heath, are you okay to jump on?
Good morning, Heath. Can you hear us? You're muted if you don't.
Yeah, I had noticed, we had just gotten the Forest Service email on June 4th, suggesting that, while Down Valley's looking a little bit better off than we are as far as the 1,000 and 100-hour fuels, or 10,000 hour and 1,000-hour fuels, if I'm saying that correctly. Up here in Lake County, we're looking a little bit on the drier side of things. We do have an expert in the room actually who could probably chime in as well, should they choose. But we had just gotten that email that, Lake County should probably go back into high fire danger based on the stats from.
He's right here.
Okay.
I gave up on technology. Yeah, I don't.
Who is that?
That's a job skill.
Good morning, Heath.
Morning, so I've heard nothing so far, I'm trying to keep my speaker to work, so.
Why don't you start?
Well,
We haven't talked to you yet.
do you wanna, I'll just say where we're at, we're doing, the agenda item 3, and we're actually passing the resolution that rescinds the fire ban, but this is like just a couple of days after the Forest Service, Chris Nacarato's last email suggesting we go back into high fire danger here, so it was sort of like, oh geez, we're,
Right.
pretty wonky and out of balance with this.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, as Chris has mentioned, in his 25 years of doing this job, that these are abnormal conditions he hasn't seen before, so I think it's important for us to be kind of flexible with making the right decision. He actually recommended we go into a stage 1 restriction, which we communicated with the public last night, that we go back into stage 1 restrictions, even though we came out of them at the same time Forest Service has. He is gonna advocate to his leadership that the Forest Service also goes into a stage 1 restriction, so there's a potential that they go back into stage 1 also. But he made the recommendation to us that we go ahead and do that as soon as possible, because we are meeting the criteria. And that's what we use as our gauge to go into a restriction or not, is if we hit 3 out of the 7 criteria, which we're at right now. So the recommendation is to not rescind the stage 1 restrictions and to stay in stage 1.
I agree.
Keith, last week at CCI, all the counties of Colorado come together, and then for a morning, the regions get together, and the mountain region got together, and this was our main topic, was fire restrictions. And it went from like policy and ordinances to working with your sheriff to, I would, not to be dramatic, but like pleas from our surrounding commissioners to act more as one to send the region in and out of stage one. And because of the way that these natural resources push people around the region and the way that they all talk to each other online to be able to figure out where you can and can't burn. And I just wanted to make sure I was passing that on.
Okay.
That it's just because our fuels can handle it. And this is where, I mean, it's worth talking to the Forest Service about too. I'm going to bring it up at the Forest Health Council tomorrow, but like an example that made sense to me was the Clear Creek Reservoir being closed down for water issues is gonna push campers up to us. It's the same thing with fire restrictions. If we don't allow fire in a certain area, it pushes people around. Anyway, so most people in our region have not even had the opportunity to move out of stage one or even stage two. Some of them have been in stage two for a while. And they are pleading that people don't move out of stage one for the summer. So just wanted to pass that on.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And we have passed an ordinance that allows us to consider more than just the fuel samples
Correct.
that the Forest Service is using.
Yeah, and I think it is important to consider all those different aspects.
Yeah.
And we have better communications now with Chaffey County primarily, regionalized. I don't know, what other counties you're considering would be mountain regions that affect Lake County specifically?
It's Park, Eagle, Summit, Grand, Fremont, Chaffey, Saguache, and one other that like is almost Front Range. Who is east of Park, I guess, is Jefferson. But anyway, that's the map, I'm just saying, those are the people in the room
Okay.
that all the commissioners were like, help us.
And their guidance was, we should move more as a region together.
The request was that we do that, to keep people from moving around as much and feeling as though there were pockets where they could burn
Sure.
in our area, I think was the thought.
Yeah, because the idea is if Lake County's not restriction, all the other counties are, everybody comes here,
Right.
fire erupt here, in
Right.
effect now, the whole entire region.
Right.
Understood.
Thanks.
That wouldn't be just aimed at us, I think I've noticed other neighboring counties not being in stage one when we went ahead and moved into stage one.
Oh yeah, it was not directed at us,
For sure.
it was a
No,
plea to
just an
everybody,
example.
yeah.
The only things with that I would take a little bit of pause to consider is that you can't paint the entire mountain region with one brush. There are areas that are gonna get significantly more moisture than other areas, and in the event of a major series of heavy moisture weather patterns, it might really tip the scales in favor of coming out of a fire ban, which does that, what's the workload look for you guys when we are in a fire ban versus, if we're in a fire ban and we're getting poured on, but we're just staying in there because of neighboring counties, does that add more to your guys' plate?
Maybe, I wouldn't say no, Maybe more to dispatch, they're probably gonna receive a lot of calls that they'll have to navigate, so probably additional workload on dispatch. I think if we're in a current situation where we're going into a stage one restriction, Forest Service is not, that would increase our workload because we're gonna get a lot of phone calls. That there's a campfire in Forest Service, but there's no restrictions in Forest Service. So we're gonna have to respond to those calls and figure out, okay, we're here, you guys are actually allowed to have this. And there's gonna be public confusion when we're not in direct alignment with our federal partners.
That's why we wanna stay in alignment with those guys to avoid the patchwork, boundaries.
Could be an interesting summer with the El Nino too, where you have extreme heat and extreme moisture at the same time.
Yeah.
Wasn't Chris specifically talking though about the difference between the long burning fuels and the grasses? Where it's the moisture is helping touch our grasses, but it's not seeping in, it's not actually affecting our long-term fuels.
Right.
That's what I understood from his very complicated email.
Correct.
That was all.
It's a
Long.
good read, it's a fun read.
It's a good read.
Speak a little bit about that, what's happening
Yeah.
is that from last year, the fine fuels have grown really tall, that thatch,
Yeah.
And then this year, we haven't had much moisture in order for that green up to surpass that. And then the 1,000-hour fuels are, you're absolutely right, it's not absorbing the fuels because there wasn't any ground moisture in order for it to soak it up.
Well, I'll bring it up tomorrow, so hopefully we can all move as one, would be nicer.
If I may, I'd like to make one more comment, and it's kind of to what you said, Commissioner. We are in a very unusual situation sometimes here in Lake County because of our altitude and the kind of weather that we do receive. We are affected more in a positive light than the other areas in the region, mostly throughout every single year. So that's just one thing to keep into consideration when we're talking about a regional thing. And again, that's just following the Forest Service and just not having any confusion to our public members when they go in, we go in. But for the most part, they're really on top of, especially Lake County, when it pertains to our situation here currently. Because it affects a whole bunch of stuff, tourism, all of that, right? So, and I just want to make that point.
Dan, what do you mean we're affected in a more positive light?
Like we just get more moisture, we normally have more snow. I mean, this is an unusual year, right? So the regional thing makes sense. I was in favor of actually staying in that stage 1 ban until August 1st. That way it is kind of a blanket statement out there for everybody to understand that we are in restrictions. But we obviously came out and then we're going back into it, so. But yeah, it's more favorable because we have the moisture up here locally. But not this year.
Yeah.
I like the idea of staying aligned with what the Forest Service is. That's where, whatever the Forest Service is providing seems like the most definitive data. When we get those emails from Chris, they're it's almost like a different language. They're so in depth, and like I'm starting to learn how to decipher some of the terminology he's using. But it going out, like with respect to what Sheriff Speckman said, being not in alignment with the Forest Service just creates this crazy patchwork of yes, no, yes, no. So I think I would should we make a motion on 3 and then vote?
You can
Yay or
move to, you can,
Or
you
just
can move to table it, you can move to be
We got
in the
multiple options.
negative.
Yeah, why don't we just table it then? I'm gonna make a motion to, is there any further discussion? Sorry, I didn't mean to
You
just
can make
rush.
a motion and then you can also have a discussion.
Yeah, I understand. Alright, I will make a motion to table resolution 2026-23, a resolution to rescind the stage 1 restrictions established under resolution 2026-19 in the unincorporated areas of Lake County, Colorado.
Seconded.
2 vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, table that one for later.
Tabled, so tabled.
So tabled.
Moving on, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you all. Number 4, a public hearing regarding a supplemental budget request from Lake County Facilities Lake County Facilities and Fleet for a grant match in the amount of $234,109.00 to fund the capital asset inventory and management plan. And so this is a hearing. Do we have verbiage for hearing?
I think you just need to open, I don't send you any, but just open it up for public comment to see if anybody has any comments on it, or I would read into the record if you received any comments or not. I don't think you did, but if you did, I would just note this for the record.
Okay.
Can I make some comments about my stoke for this?
Let's open up the hearing.
Comment on that.
The hearing on the supplemental budget request for Lake County Facilities and Fleet is hereby open. The request is a grant match in the amount of $234,109. This is to fund our capital asset inventory plan. If there's any comments from the public? Go ahead, Commissioner Lee.
This is one of the big priorities that I feel like we've looked at as a board and had amazing support from staff, getting this thing across the finish line. It is one of the least flashy things. You can't really shout it from the rooftops and have anyone understand what's going on. But when we came into these seats a year and a half ago, it's just hard to wrap your head around how many decades of deferred maintenance Lake County is looking at. It's, those two words keep me up at night, and this is the first and extremely important step as to how do we even wrap our head around how much deferred maintenance is out there, what do we even have, what shape is it in, what do we need, what are we using, what aren't we using? You can't just go out and say, hey, that thing's broken, let's go fix it, because until you prioritize what needs fixing first, what's gonna cost us more money down the road if we don't fix it now, this is an incredibly complicated subject, and it's probably a big part of the reason why things have gotten pushed off for so long. So for me, this is a huge step forward in addressing the things that are falling apart in this community. And I don't think I personally, I don't think I've done a good enough job expressing to the community how big and important of a step this capital asset inventory and management plan is, and I will try to be better about that moving forward. But this is a hugely important and exciting step forward for Lake County, in my view.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Elsa, do you wanna make any comments?
I'm just glad that we're doing this, and I know we budgeted for it last year. So, makes sense that we would actually follow through on that.
So it's in the budget,
It was in last year's
It was in
budget.
last
It's in
year's
last year's budget, and we were not allowed to appropriate it before the grant was received. So we knew we were gonna apply for this grant after some discussions with DOLA.
Mhm.
So we were awarded the grant, probably two and a half, 3 weeks ago, and they needed us to appropriate it in the budget for this year, and so that's what we're gonna send this off to Randy today after Sandor gets it recorded, and then they'll actually issue the award. And then we were gonna spend the 244,109, it's kind of a weird number to put out there. But that's what we actually appropriated towards it before. But now we have even more money to actually put towards a plan, that will be, linked to our accounting software, and we'll be able to show, each year, like a 5-year outlook of like, we've budgeted for these items for the next several years. And be able to update that 5th year out every year as we accomplish tasks, indefinitely. So we're really, really excited, but we did appropriate it last year, we just never spent it once we realized we had the opportunity to ask for a grant that would allow us to do the project fully.
well, that's great, thank you, Candace, and everybody that participated. That's really smart, and I would entertain a motion to approve.
I will move to approve supplemental budget request from the Lake County Facilities and Fleet for a grant match in the amount of $234,109.00 to fund the capital asset inventory and management plan, otherwise known as the CAMP.
I will second that.
2 votes,
Hi,
Aye.
aye. All right,
go for it,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Let's fix some stuff.
Just so you guys are aware, once we get the awards from DOLA, then we'll work with them to go out to RFP.
Yeah.
To get the right group of contractors to do the work for us and follow, the process for them.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. And so part 2 of this is number 5, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-24, a resolution of Lake County, Colorado, approving a supplemental budget and making a supplemental appropriation for fiscal year 2026 for the said capital asset inventory and management plan, again, led by Candace Bryans.
So this is really just to ask you guys to approve the resolution.
Oh yeah, agenda item 4 wasn't a decision, this is the decision. Let's do that again.
Yeah, let's do.
Alright, my turn. I will make a motion to approve resolution 2026-24. A resolution of Lake County, Colorado approving a supplemental budget and making a supplemental appropriation for the fiscal year 2026 for the capital asset inventory and management project, sorry.
Second.
To a vote.
Aye,
Aye.
okay,
There we go.
now it's official.
Public hearing consideration.
Item number 6, discussion and consideration of a board appointment to the Lake County Library Board of Trustees led by Brenna Smith, our library director.
Becky
Oh,
Eisen,
Becky.
Deputy Director of
Okay.
Access Services for the library. I'm here in Brenna's place. Yes, we would like to appoint a new board member, Julie Prill, to the Library Board of Trustees.
Okay. You're here to vouch for her as well? Okay. Good.
She's a upstanding library patron.
Alright,
Okay, I
Love it.
will move to appoint Julie Prill to the Lake County Library Board of Trustees.
I will second that.
To a vote.
Aye.
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 Thank you for serving, Julie, and thanks for coming in, Becky. Item number 7, discussion and consideration of a board appointment to the E911 Authority Board. This will be led by Sheriff Heath Speckman.
Yes, so we've had a vacancy on the E911 board for the OEM position. So the E911 board is made up of a representation from the Sheriff's Office, the PD, Office of Emergency Management, Fire Rescue, and our EMS personnel. So since Claire left, we've bounced around, some temporary spots filled, but now we have Dan Campbell on board as our Emergency Manager Director. And he submitted his letter, and would love his appointment to the E911 Authority for the Board of County Commissioners.
Questions? Oh, alright, he's a good guy.
Hanging in there so far.
Alright.
Don't let him leave.
I will make a motion to appoint Dan Campbell to the E911 Authority Board.
Second.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for serving, Dan. Thanks for that, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Moving on. Item number 8, discussion and consideration of an access agreement between Lake County and Arkansas River Watershed Collaborative, otherwise known as ARWIC, to access certain county-owned lands for the purpose of forest health fuels mitigation projects. This will be led by Bryce Ulrich, our Water and Natural Resources Director. Morning, Bryce.
Good morning, thanks board. Yeah, so this is just an opportunity for us to add on some county-owned land to an existing funded project that we are supporting with a little bit of grant or match funding this year. So, you know, fire doesn't care about property lines. So they requested access to this parcel so they can do some fuel mitigation on there.
That's no brainer.
Yeah.
This is one, if we could just do it subject to legal review, I know I kind of pushed it through Airtable, but I think it had some indemnification language in there.
Ooh.
Probably wanna take a closer look at, and I've just been a little overwhelmed, haven't had a chance to circle back to this one, but I think if the board just does it pending legal review, we can get that going.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that catch. I know sometimes these things seem like such a slam dunk and it's like, well, there's a detail in here we need to work out. So, thanks, appreciate your eyes on things, Matt.
Okay, I will move to approve the access agreement between Lake County and Arkansas River Watershed Collaborative, ARWIC, to access certain county-owned lands for the purpose of forest health fuels mitigation projects pending legal review.
I will second that.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Thanks board.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bryce.
thanks Bryce.
Ulrich. Sorry, I got your pronunciation wrong.
Ulrich
It's all good.
sounds very cool.
Ulrich.
I feel bad that my girls are gonna have to spell it out for everyone the rest of their lives, just like me. So,
Yeah.
and we gotta deal with our family.
A little ridicule will help me remember, so.
Okay.
Item number 9, discussion and consideration of the Board of County Commissioners' strategic priorities. This will be led by our county manager, Candace Bryant.
Thank you all. So we did a work session and you guys gave me some feedback on the strategic priorities. We hated the photos that Jola gave us, so I updated those. If you still hate them, you can let me know. I'll fix them. And then we asked for the strategic priority number 5 for that title to be changed to focus really more on public safety, public health, DHS, like just, you know, with the well-being of our community. So I took a stab at a different terminology. If you hate it, you can also let me know right now and we can approve this pending any changes that you'd like to see. And then took the section underneath that and kind of redid the summary of it to talk just a little bit more about the overall well-being, public health, public safety of our community. So those changes were incorporated and it's in your packet with those changes. So asking for you guys to accept it if you do, or give, you know, if you want something changed, we can accept it pending any changes. It was hard to find pictures that actually worked for what we wanted.
They're great photos.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, I did not have time to go over this since Friday, and I'm
Do you
so
want me to pull
sorry.
it up?
No, I have it.
Okay.
I carried it around with me everywhere I went, but I did not have
Even
the
a
time
hard
to actually
copy.
go through it. So I would request that we table it. But if you all have gone over it and feel good about it, I get that I'm one.
We went through it pretty in depth with Randy and when Dola was here, and we had it wasn't a huge list of changes, I don't think, that we had requested out of this,
The last work session.
yeah.
There weren't a lot of changes, but it's up to you. If you want more time, that's fine.
I felt like it looked great, especially if this is something the public can access and see where we wanna steer things, what our, you know, prioritizations are. But if we table this, there's not really any actual repercussions, this is more of a guiding document that's like community outreach, and if
It's for us.
you would like more time to go over it, just to make sure there's no.
I mean, we can approve it. We can approve it and always change it, absolutely. This is not like it's not like a supplemental where we're trying to do it quarterly or something. I'm just saying I wasn't prepared, I'm sorry.
If we table this, is that gonna hinder any of the work or change the priorities, or do you need us to give you some guidance? I mean, cause it looks good to me.
It's great, I'm just saying I
I would probably just put it on the next meeting and try to get it done then. We're gonna be working with staff to work on the mission, vision, values, and culture piece. And we just wanna make sure before we embark on that, you know, which that should be supporting the work in this document. We just wanna make sure that you guys are like, these are for sure, you know, the priorities we're gonna move forward with and the tasks we want staff working on, I think, ahead of doing that work. So I might just put it on the next regular, which would be next week, if that gives you all time to review it.
I don't wanna
Does that feel okay?
I don't wanna hold up staff work,
You won't.
absolutely.
It's next Tuesday,
Great, I would love one more week.
if that's okay with everybody.
Sure.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, sorry, let me get the agenda back up so I can say this right. Okay, I will make a motion to table the agenda item number 9, the consideration of, well, we're not adopting, table agenda item number 9, discussion and consideration of the Board of Commissioners' strategic priorities.
Seconded.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Strategic priorities document acceptance is tabled. Moves us to number 10, county attorney updates led by Mr. Matt Hobbs.
So I attended the county attorney's conference last week, as you know. I think you guys were at CCI last week as well. There's a bunch of legislative updates that were provided. I think you guys probably got the same speech that the county attorneys did. So at some point I'll be going through those, and when I get a moment, sort of coming back to the board of what we need to do or don't do. There's some robust discussion on massage parlors, for example.
Are we in favor of that?
Not a pressing issue in Lake County, but
There are like 2 counties that's a really big deal.
Exactly, which is apparently spurns a lot of legislation, like every year, because of just the human trafficking component that's associated with it. Once I have a chance to digest all that, we'll bring that back and decide. There was definitely some discussion from some counties of, like, for the massage parlors, a lot of the state mandate stuff is like, well, what if we don't do it? Well, there's really no penalty, right, if you don't do it. So that was certainly a discussion amongst some of the county attorneys
And there's no money to do
Right.
it. It's like a huge enforcement thing with no funding
Right.
attached.
Yeah, so that'll be a decision for you all, to make on some of this stuff, but I'll bring that back to you. We have our first land use trial on Monday, so that's been occupying a fair bit of my time next Monday. That's a full day trial, tiny home out in the neighborhood. And we've filed 3 additional land use complaints last week, so really starting to press forward on a lot of that stuff and getting some traction. We got 3 more to move forward with from the community planning and development, so that's increasingly occupying a fair chunk of my time, along with everything else. We're gonna have an executive session later, so on that issue. I don't know if you guys have any questions on anything, but that's probably a good update in terms of where we're at.
Matt, how are the properties that you're pursuing selected? Is it?
I let CPD do that, I'm not making those calls. They have a list of properties they've tried to work with, some for years.
Yeah.
With numerous notices being sent out and just either being ignored or no efforts moving forward to compliance. And at that point, when the CPD does not get any traction with those owners, they refer them on to the county attorney's office. It's usually it's not coming to me first. It's usually, sometimes it's a couple of years that they've been trying to work with some property owners. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is our county manager updates led by Candace Bryans.
So I've only got a few things on here. Josh and I met with Colleen and our ANA last week and kind of reviewed some preliminary numbers from them, and they're just finalizing a few last items related to the cost of a Sally port alongside of, if we would be flipping the courts. So we'll be getting some numbers out to you guys and then circle back to have a discussion about move forward or not move forward, but do wanna let you know that we've kind of got those numbers pending. I think I just got an email from them, I haven't gotten to read yet this morning. And Josh and I also have a call with the USDA, I think it's on Friday. On Friday to discuss, the changing of our congressionally directed spending funds. We did kind of flag for them that we might be looking to change the project and really try, if we're gonna use that money for this project, really try to get that done. Because I only have till the end of this year to use it.
We're for serious
Start
this
using
time.
it.
Yeah.
That's what a little it feels like, but that's okay.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna have a plan and make something happen. So just letting you know that those things are coming up. I have a meeting also this week to work on requesting a reduction in we have $500,000 of underfunded courthouse grant money that has a $1.5 million match. And even though, you know, the 3.575 million from the USDA could be the match, that we're gonna ask for a reduction in that match. So even if for some reason we did not do the Sally Port and did not use that congressionally directed spending, we could at least have that money to do something for the courts. So we're gonna be getting that together and trying to get that submitted in the next week or two to request, to reduce that grant match amount. If we decide to move forward with this project, once we've got some numbers back for you guys, we will likely be going back to the courts. The more money the courts gives us, the more we can do to improve the condition of the courts. So even if for some reason you guys said, hey, we don't know that we would flip the direction of the courts because of the cost of it right now, there is the opportunity that once we start the project, if they see some progress, we go present again and say, hey, we're in the process of this project, would you guys grant us, you know, more underfunded courts money? I would think we'd have a better chance of being awarded if they see that we've, you know, taken the first grant, that we haven't actually started work towards that. So wanted to flag that for you. I'm not sure if you're all aware or not, so I want to mention that the DA's office came back and gave us a supplemental request. You know, we initially declined to up their budget, and I do have a conversation this week with some of the county managers from the other counties who fund the DA alongside of Eagle Summit, Clear Creek, just to kind of see where things have shaken out with their boards. I know that I believe Eagle was discussing it this week. Summit, I think they've had some conversations just to get a cohesive feel of where those other counties at. We're pretty small, and so us giving pushback if no one else is going to is a little more challenging. So just wanna see where everybody else is shaking out in terms of what are they thinking. I know we have some concerns with the request. Just with the budget that was approved, this request means that they are already deficit spending into reserves, and we know that they had made some accounting issues in terms of keeping the correct amount of reserve. So this means they're already deficit or spending into a reserve that was already not correct. So I think, you know, one of the things we came out of our last budget approval discussion with them was for them to come back and do some presentations for us and kind of, you know, give us what is their plan for recouping their reserve, and how are they gonna address these shortfalls other than, you know, us increasing funding when we've had to cut on our own. And I don't think those presentations have happened, and so I think there are just some concerns I have. So I wanna flag for you that will be coming up. I'm gonna do a little bit more legwork, but I'll be presenting, you know, that request with a little more information for you all. But do wanna go ahead and flag and get it on your radar that has been a request to us.
Yeah, I saw in that email from them, in that request, it was like, you know, our ask was like 10% of roughly the average of what Summit and Eagle counties asks was, you know, and we were like 23 or 26K, and they're like, you know, just shy of 200 or a little over 200. One of the things that jumped out at me though, and why I would really like to have a presentation for them, was that some of the FTEs they were looking at funding with this seemed like things that would really help out with possibly with our sheriff's department here, and city police as well. Or could potentially, I don't know the intricacies of how the collaboration works between these different groups, you know, but it was something I thought would be really valuable to have a little bit more discussion or clarity on. And I think that was about all. Oh, and then, yeah, does the DA's office have their own finance department? And that is sort of where my big question was, of like, if they've made missteps like this, usually just throwing money at something and without fixing the root cause of it means it could happen again, and that's what, I kind of would have an issue with. Everything else seemed like this could be potentially valuable for us here, and some value we would get out of it if the other counties were on board.
Yeah.
But,
I'll get more information, we'll definitely have a work session, cause I think that if the DA is asking for a change in their budget, they should come and present that to you all, so you can ask those questions directly of them, rather than me just presenting the supplemental that was emailed. So I'll circle back and say, hey, we would like a presentation, if you guys think about it, if there are any like specific questions you have that you want me to relay to them, if you would just email me, individually, of course, so I can make sure they're prepared to show up with some answers and to be ready for that. But do wanna flag for you, that request came in, and it's gonna be coming up in our next, we're gonna do supplementals quarterly, so just wanna put that out there.
Candace?
Yeah.
Can I will email you, but when it comes to working with the other counties about working as a group to respond to these supplemental requests, I just had a thought for the future where I think my impression is that a lot of the DA's costs come from housing needs for their employees. And housing costs different amounts in the different counties. So if there's a way that we could potentially look at dividing the cost by cost of housing within those counties, it might be more beneficial to the smaller counties like Lake and Clear Creek.
I believe we provide a place for them to stay. I don't know what the other counties do in terms of where they're staying, so, for us, that doesn't necessarily factor into what they're asking for. And the budget increase requests that she gave us last year and this year were more related to additional staff. And I think that's what this request is, but I can definitely ask everyone else, what are they doing in terms of, where are they staying and how is that being afforded?
Yeah, and who's covering what?
Yeah.
When it comes to that, and then.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Eagle provides them a space to stay, but
Yes, but
I'll
I
have
think
to
some of
double
it goes
check.
through the DA. And that's where I just would be curious.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty wild to have such a tiny county. I mean, obviously we paid less already.
Yeah.
In terms of the distribution. I'm just really curious about how the distribution is determined, and if there's not a way to change it, then fine, but I just would love more information about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think those are all the updates I have for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candace.
thank you.
And next month I have everybody send their updates, and I'll do a more comprehensive, like from each department. It's a little
Yay.
overkill to ask everyone for an update every other week.
That's my favorite.
Okay, next on the agenda is item number 12, executive session. Pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-4024B and E. Colorado Revised Statutes for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the county attorney regarding claims asserted by a former county employee arising from the employee's separation from employment. Determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategies for negotiations, and instructing negotiators concerning a demand for compensation and potential settlement of such claims, and discussing potential litigation, litigation strategy, and related legal considerations. No formal actions or decisions will be taken during the executive session. Can I get a motion to move into executive session?
I'll move to go into executive session. Do I have to do the whole thing? No, very, since you just did it.
Unless you want to.
No? Okay.
I will second that.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion has been made and seconded. We will now go into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, 4B, for the purpose stated in the motion. No adoption of any proposed policy, position, resolution, rule, regulation, or formal action will occur during this executive session. The executive session will be electronically recorded as required by law unless the county attorney certifies that this matter constitutes a privileged attorney-client communication and therefore is not subject to the recording requirements.
Mr. President, is just everyone in here, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Andy. Sure.
Candace, can you fix that?
Pursuant to CRS 24-6402, advise the county attorney certify that the next portion of this executive session constitutes a conference with legal counsel for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions related to Zoe Bergstrom and her claims against the county. Accordingly, no record or minutes are required to be kept of this portion, and the recording may be stopped. And resume.
The board is now out of executive session and has returned to open session. For the record, the board discussed only matters identified in the motion to enter into executive session, and no formal action was taken. If any member believes discussion went beyond the scope of the motion, please state that concern for the record now. Okay, no concerns? If there's any direction to staff or motion related to the matter discussed in the executive session, now would be a good time to do so. None. Okay. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda.
So my turn? I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is a reminder that all packet materials for agenda items are available upon request. Please subscribe or email notifications. Please visit lakecounty.gov/list-ASPX. This concludes our special meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners on June 9th, 2026 at 10:52 a.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, staff.